Hello, my name's Angela. Thank you so much for being part of my YouTube channel. And I wanted to talk to you today about the top three causes that I see of mood imbalance, especially for women that are in perimenopause and that transitional time towards menopause. Because most of the time, we would think as females in this time period of life that it definitely has to do with our hormones when our moods are fluctuating and changing. You might feel anxious one minute, depressed the next. You might feel irritable all the time, like anytime your partner asks you to do anything or vice versa, you just feel so irritated and it's affecting your relationship, not only with your partner, but others around you as well. And you're wondering how you can get this in check and get your hormones more balanced. But what I would like to bring to you today is that even though the hormones are fluctuating and changing in this time period of life, there is no doubt about that. It's very, very common that the hormones are not at the root cause of your mood imbalances. And I want to bring to you what I have seen in my practice as the top three things that are actually causing the mood imbalances. And so, one of the main things to just start learning about is that how we balance our mood comes from several different areas and systems of our body. It's not just about our hormones. And one of the biggest areas that we need to have in balance is our gut health. And so, when we think of estrogen, our primary female sex hormone, estrogen is something that actually contributes to our gut health if it's balanced. So, when estrogen is at the optimal level, it actually helps us to digest. It helps our food to move along. It actually even contributes to our metabolism, which is great. What can happen though, as our estrogen levels start to lower as females, as we get closer to that transitional time into menopause, is we can't necessarily just rely on that to help keep our gut and our hormones in balance. So if our gut is already out of balance, it's going to be all that more highlighted as our estrogen levels start to drop. So we need to be thinking of not just what's happening with our hormones, we need to be thinking of what is happening with my gut health that can help contribute to my mood balance. And the reason I want to bring a little bit more to you about this is because what actually helps us regulate mood is something called our neurotransmitters. These are some chemical signalers, there's some messengers that actually are produced in our gut, and they have a pathway that connects with the brain that actually allows us to utilize these neurochemical signalers and messengers to keep us calm, to keep us motivated, to keep us regulated with our mood throughout the day. And so it's not actually all about our hormones. We have to make sure that our hormones are in check and in balance along with our gut. And another thing I will bring to you that might give you a signal that your gut could be out of balance is how you're doing with your bowel movements. Are you having 1 to 2 bowel movements a day? Are they easy to pass, well formed, or not? And if they're not, it's quite likely that you do have a gut imbalance. And this could be causing a few things. It definitely could be contributing to estrogen imbalances. So it could actually cause your estrogen, however much you do have circulating right now. And this could be dependent on your age, especially if you're getting close to or transitioning into menopause. Your estrogen could be getting lower. But if you're not having daily bowel movements, at least 1 to 2, what's going to happen is the estrogen that you do have in your body is going to start to get backed up. And it's not going to move where it should be. It's not going to be processed properly, utilized properly. And when we get estrogen backed up in our system that actually should be moved out through our gut and through our bowels, it can cause what's called estrogen dominance. And so we can get estrogen dominance even when our estrogen levels are lowering. And the gut can be a strong contributor to this. So it's absolutely essential. You can see this connection between our estrogen, our hormones as females, and our gut. And we have to get our gut balanced to allow our mood and our hormones to balance with it. So a couple tips is one thing you could do right away is you could look at bringing in more fiber in your diet. So for most females in this age, we need around 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. And we can get this from vegetables. We can get this from nuts and seeds. There's some great ways to bring in fiber every day if we're eating healthy whole foods. Another great tip is to make sure you're drinking enough water. You need to be drinking about a gallon of water a day to allow for us to have proper and consistent bowel movements, that combined with fiber. And so these are some things that we could put into action right away to start to get our gut health balanced, our hormones balanced, and our moods balanced. Absolutely essential. And I find often this is a piece that is missed. And when women have mood imbalance and they're heading towards or they're in that transitional time into menopause, they're just looking to hormones to fix the problem. But we really have to break it down and look at where are these imbalances truly coming from. Another thing that is a really top cause of mood imbalance, especially in this time period of life, I find is blood sugar imbalances. So, something that can happen as our estrogen levels start to lower as females is our insulin actually can become not as easy to regulate. And so, if we are eating sugar in too high of an amount, it's going to be more likely to spike our blood sugar, cause our insulin levels to rise. And at the same time, this can also elevate cortisol in the body. And all of these things can start to cause inflammation that is too high in our body. It can get out of balance. And when we have inflammation that is too high, it's also really going to impede that neurotransmitter production in our gut that helps us regulate mood. So, again, we really want to be thinking not just of hormones, we want to be thinking of, is there some foods that I could be eating or taking away that can also start to contribute to rebalancing my mood? It's not going to be just about hormones. And further to that, something that we can do is we can look at trying to bring in healthy whole foods in the form of vegetables. And we want to bring in more vegetables than fruit in about a ratio of 4-1. And this is something that's going to really help us regulate our blood sugars. Vegetables, as I already mentioned, are very high in fiber. So that also will help to counteract some of the effects of sugars, especially if you're eating fruit. So we want to really be making sure that we're bringing that in to help us optimize our blood sugars. And then the other thing is we want to make sure we're not bringing in sugary drinks, too many sweets, and also not eating too many simple carbohydrates in the form of grains and baking and that kind of thing. So this becomes more essential and important in this time period of life as estrogen starts to lower. We've got to be paying more attention to our blood sugar balance, and a lot of this can happen through foods. Another cause of mood imbalance that I find is not often talked about is stress. So what happens when we get under stress is our cortisol levels elevate. And again, what this can do is it can put us into a fight or flight situation. It can also cause inflammation to get out of balance. And when we have these two things happening, we're not going to necessarily be able to keep our hormones in balance. So, stress and cortisol are very closely related to balance in both our sex hormones and our thyroid hormones. And they work very closely together. So, if our body's constantly under stress and constantly asking to produce more cortisol, what our body will cleverly do is it will start to steal either thyroid hormone or sex hormones to make cortisol because it sees stress and cortisol as a survival mechanism, whereas our sex hormones and our thyroid hormones don't necessarily seem that way to our body when it's in a stressful state. So, of course, if we have premature lowering of our thyroid hormones and our sex hormones, this is going to create some symptoms for us as well. And it definitely can revolve around mood. So, stress, the other thing, again, because it elevates cortisol, elevated cortisol can cause inflammation, and even this alone can also spike blood sugars. So you can see how closely and intricately all of these areas of our body, these three areas, stress, imbalanced blood sugars, and imbalanced gut health, can contribute to mood imbalance. And these are things that we can work on without adding hormones into our body. They're all ways that we can actually heal the hormones and heal our mood balance naturally in this perimenopausal transition into menopause time of life. A couple of key tips around stress, some ways to manage it, gain resilience around it, is to do some exercise. So if we're exercising, especially cardiovascular exercise regularly, it is going to help us balance our cortisol. If it's too high, it's going to help to lower it and balance it out. It's going to burn off some of that adrenaline. And if our cortisol is too low, if we do the right amount of exercise and don't overdo it, it's actually going to help to lift our cortisol. So it's a great way to start getting that balance back if we are under stress, and that will help to balance mood. Another tip, something that is very, very helpful often for females in this time of life, especially if they're having mood imbalance symptoms, and it is stress related, is to be thinking of yoga or meditation, and to do this very consistently, and I mean daily. So these are just some quick tips for you. I hope that this helps to shed some light on where your mood imbalance symptoms could potentially be coming from. It's not all about your hormones. There are typically some underlying root causes that are often overlooked. And if you want more information on this, please feel free to reach out to me. You can go to my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca. And there is a link there to book a call. There's also some great information on mood imbalance if you go to my blog post in there. And another way for you to connect with me is also through my Facebook business page at Angela Simpson Functional Medicine. So I would look forward to connecting with you one-on-one, learning about your symptoms and helping you find the root cause of where your mood imbalances are coming from so that we could start to heal these and heal your body for the long term. Thanks again for being here, and thanks again for being in my YouTube channel. I really appreciate you having you here, and I hope to see you soon on another video. Thanks. Bye for now.